At Team Toyota, they've been selling and servicing new and used Toyotas in your community for over 50 years. And you can reserve your next new Toyota with them today. You'll get a realistic timeline, and even in this crazy market, they won't charge you over MSRP. Or don't wait at all. With over 75 certified Toyotas, including a bunch of RAV4 and Highlanders, you can drive one home today. And you can always trust them to maintain your current vehicle. Their service and collision centers are high-tech, comfortable, and will save you time and money. Team Toyota can help you go anywhere you want, but they'll always be your hometown team. Just visit teamtoyota.net and choose from 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Where does the time go? It's already September 2nd. I'm Corey Seibin. He's Jim Salisbury. This is the Phillies Talk podcast as the Phils move on to their final West Coast series of the season in San Francisco after an up and down 3 games in Arizona. Jim, that was an interesting series. The Phillies jumped out to those big leads. They gave a couple away. The series ended, I would think that the guys left Arizona on a high note. That was one of the more historic offensive games in Phillies history, the 18-2 win. And now here they are going into the weekend against a Giants team that is skidding, having lost 7 straight and fallen below Arizona in the standings.
Yeah. Arizona is, though they're a sub 500 team, they kind of got a lot to play for because they brought up some young kids. They brought up that Corbin Carroll outfielder. Wow, is he a dynamic player? He had a good first 2 games, and he didn't play the 3rd game. They got Alec Thomas, another good-looking young player. Jake McCarthy, the outfielder from Scranton, played at UVA, had a big series against the Phillies. Christian Walker, kid from Norristown area, having a really good power season, had a good series against the Phillies. And, of course, Zach Gallen from South Jersey, Bishop Eustace. He's probably going to be the pitcher of the month in the National League for August. I mean, he was 5-0 in August with a sub-1 ERA. He pitched a great game for them. So they are playing with a lot of energy, and they took a series from the Phillies, and Phillies can't lose series. You got to win series. That's kind of how they got back in this thing and got into playoff contention by winning series. So you're right. They ended on a really positive note, 22 hits. Then they had an off day, so we'll see what that does to their momentum. But the easiest way to maintain momentum is get a good start. And so they need to kind of come back from Thursday's off day. And they need a good series against San Francisco. Like you said, they've lost 7 straight. They were just swept by the Padres. They've lost 11 out of 13. They've kind of gone thud. The Giants have kind of gone thud. When you're a team like the Phillies who has a lot to play for, you can have no mercy on those teams. You got to go out and you just got to make sure that team's misery continues while you got to pile on a little bit. That's just the nature of the game, nature of a sport where you play series. You can have no mercy on a team that's struggling, and that's the Phillies' challenge starting Friday night in San Francisco.
Yeah, the Giants will be their own sort of challenge. That's a unique ballpark. It's always tricky going out there. The Giants don't have nearly the offense that the Diamondbacks have, especially, the Diamondbacks are just locked in right now. Like Christian Walker's been one of the best hitters in the NL this month. You knew that wasn't going to be an easy series despite Arizona's record. But the way the Phillies finished it off with Bailey Falter on the hill leading what was a 4th straight win. The Phillies are 4-0 in his last 4 starts. They've all been quality starts. Falter has a 2.59 ERA over that span. And with the uncertainty in the Phillies rotation in several spots right now, this has been a huge development. Like, this has made a big difference for the Phillies over the last 2 weeks. It's the reason they're still in a solid position in the playoff hunt. And this is the sort of rotation depth that they've lacked, that they've needed.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. And there's like a lot to his story. He's been recalled 7 times from the minor leagues this year. So he's living out of hotels, going up and down the Northeast extension. He's been recalled 7 times. I know there's that new rule where you can only be optioned 5 times. So there are some loopholes. I mean, you can be called up for a doubleheader, be the extra guy. He has indeed been called up for a couple doubleheaders. He was called up, I think, for a COVID IL thing, and so those don't count as like options. But nonetheless, he's been added to the big league team 7 different times. So when you're not in one place, it's hard to build a rhythm. But lately he has built a little rhythm. He's done a really, really good job. As you mentioned, his last 4 starts, going back to Pittsburgh right before the trade deadline. His last 4 starts have all been quality starts, 6 or more innings, 3 or fewer earned runs. And most importantly, the Phillies have won all 4 of them. I mean, that's the biggest job as starting pitcher. Give your team a chance to win that night, and hopefully play good defense and hit the ball and score some runs, and you get a win. So he's done that. Team has won the ball game his last 4 starts. 2 of those starts, I would say, really had like a desperate tone to them, because we know what the Mets have done to the Phillies this year. And they took 3 out of 4, 2 weekends ago against the Phillies in Citizens Bank Park. The only victory the Phillies got was in the second game of a doubleheader when Bailey Falter pitched 6 innings of 1-run ball. Great job. Desperate situation, keeps the team in it, and they win a game. I would say Thursday, was it Wednesday night in Arizona? Another desperate situation. The team had lost 3 in a row. You don't want it to become 4 in a row. Arizona had just lit you up for, putting big run totals on the board against you. They just, mopped the floor with you 2 nights in a row. People are wringing their hands a little bit. And he steps in there and he gives you, 6+ of really good ball, and gets the victory, filling in for injured Zack Wheeler. So I thought he did a great job, and getting them out of there with a win and a good feeling. And that series didn't turn out to be as bad as it could have been, largely because of Bailey Falter. He did leave that game with a little right groin tightness, and you see a pitcher leave with a trainer by his side, and the alarm bells go off. But Rob Thompson kind of quieted the alarm, and so did Bailey Falter after that game. It was just precautionary. Felt a little tightness. They wanted to get him out of there as precaution because they had a big lead. And he was able to get that tightness out of there, get some treatment after the game. So it looks like he's going to be fine. Looks like he's going to make his next start. Big question, where is that next start? Is it in Philadelphia? Is it back in AAA so they can keep him lengthened? Because he is their 6th starter. You got to get him innings, and you got to keep him stretched out and keep him sharp. But all probability is Wheeler will come off the IL on Tuesday and take that turn. So, I guess Bailey Falter could hang around, go to the bullpen, or he could go to AAA and continue to stretch out. Not sure what they're going to do there. So go ahead.
Is it out of the question that they could go to a 6-man rotation? Because, I ask because there's still some bad teams left on the schedule, some Nationals, some Marlins. It would be a way to put yourself in a better position to have a healthy and rested Nola and Wheeler in a playoff series. I know we've talked about this recent weeks on the podcast too, but like the last week of the season, Phillies go down to Houston. The Astros are 5 games ahead of the Yankees for home field advantage. That series might mean nothing to the Yankees. So I just wonder if Falter could stay in the rotation, if it's a way to potentially set a 1-2-3 up in that first series that allows you to go like Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, or Syndergaard, whichever direction you go.
I guess it's possible. They've done that twice this season where they've mixed him in. Or was it Sanchez once and once Bailey Falter? But they've mixed in a 6th starter at least twice to get guys, just for that reason, to get guys rest. I don't know if that's in their plans right now, because September, it's a bit of an unusual September. They have a bunch of off days. And there's a fine line between rest and too much rest and getting rusty and not being sharp. And pitchers generally like to get on the mound every 5th day. So they have every Monday off in the month of September, and that's going to provide them with the opportunity to get extra rest right there. But, it's certainly, I think, feasible that they mix in a 6th starter at least once, especially with the confidence that, 1, Falter has developed, and 2, I think the team is probably developing in him. So, but right now, he's still here, and right now Wheeler is still on the IL. He's going to throw a bullpen in San Francisco over the weekend, and we'll keep an eye on that one. He's feeling better, and I know they want to get him back in there on Tuesday night, but however they manage this rotation and bullpen and Bailey Falter in particular, I think they're getting the feeling it's a guy that can depend on a little bit, and he should be getting the feeling that he's dependable, and that's a good thing. It's tough being the sixth starter in a five-man rotation. It's tough shuttling back and forth, but when you give it an opportunity and you shine, you're only making things better for yourself in the future. There's going to be roster and rotation turnover on this team over the winter, and Bailey Falter is putting himself on the map. So hats off to him. It's not perfect, but he's building something.
Yeah, I was going to say that was an important point you made about how crucial these last two starts have been. That he's been the game against the Mets, the game against the Diamondbacks, where the previous few days had just been miserable, and you're looking to put an end to that. That's typically what you think of the stopper at the top of a rotation being. Falter's been able to do that a couple times lately for the Phillies. Just staying in the rotation. Aaron Nola got lit up on Tuesday. It was probably his worst start in months, if not of the season. 8 runs against Arizona, some hard hit balls in that game. And you wrote afterward about how, while it's not quite September yet, this is the topic with Aaron Nola. It's been year after year that he struggled in September. What did you make of that outing in Arizona? I'm sure that he's sick of being asked about this at this time of year, but until he kind of turns it around, he's going to hear those questions.
I kind of made of that outing, or what I made of that outing was when Aaron Nola struggles, that's what we see, just trouble putting away hitters with 2 strikes, and he gave up a couple big hits with 2 strikes. And he's a guy. Aaron's not a blow-away guy. He's got great stuff, but he's got to put that stuff in good spots. And when he makes a mistake over the plate, he gets hurt with it. That was a very aggressive hitting team. Walker, McCarthy, the kid Carroll, Thomas, Ketel Marte, very aggressive hitting team, and they devoured his mistakes. So he was a little dejected. I'm sure he's tired of the late season / September topic, but it's something that he needs to stare down and take care of. They need this guy. He was very important to them getting back in the race and getting control of a wild card spot. He's going to be very important to them locking one down and maybe going further. So the previous start against Cincinnati, it was weird. That was like maybe one of the 2 or 3 best starts of his career, and it was followed by one of the worst starts of his career. I think he was tied. I think that 8 runs was tied with the most he's ever given up, and that was dating to like his second year in the majors, 2016. So, hand in hand with the September struggles issue with Aaron Nola is, does he wear down? And all pitchers wear down a little bit. Most, I should say. It's a long season. Since 2018, he has the most innings pitched in the major leagues. So, it's fair to wonder if that workload catches up with him. It's also something you have to respect. The guy takes the ball. He's durable. But every Monday's an off day, like I said, in September. That should help him. They've been cognizant of getting him extra rest when they can. Like I said, twice this year they used the 6th starter, and they gave him extra rest at the All-Star break. So this week is really interesting. He has a chance to really get some extra rest here. So he pitched Tuesday night, and Thursday's an off day. Monday's an off day. So there's 2 days right there. Then they're going to potentially reinsert Zack Wheeler on Tuesday. Aaron Nola could be looking at pitching with 3 extra days rest before his next start. So we'll see how that affects him. If it sharpens him up, if it doesn't, I would think it'll have a positive effect. He's always pitched pretty good. I think his numbers are better. I'd have to look him up, but numbers are better with an extra day. Now, when you're talking a couple extra days, that's a different story. Especially, talking to him after that game about the subject of getting a little extra rest. He said he acknowledged that it can't hurt, but he also said, I like to get on the mound as much as I can, And especially after an outing like this, I want to get back on that mound quickly. So we'll see. He'll be back on the mound. Was it against it's Miami? I think he'll be back on the mound in the next series at home, and he's got to pitch well. He's got to pitch well. Wheeler's got to come back healthy. I mean, Suarez has had some hiccups here in the middle innings with his command. His command has been a real head scratcher because he's a control and command guy, and the lack of it has been a head scratcher. They need to get him going. They're in pretty good shape in the playoff hunt, but they have, clinched nothing, and there's 30 games to go. They need to win some ball games, win some series, and it starts with the starting pitching, keeping them in every game.
So Rob Thompson, after that Nola start, I saw that he said that he always worries about a guy after throwing a complete game, the 9 ups and downs. Do you think that, you were there when Thompson said that? I mean, from that, does that make it sound like, he would be more hesitant to let a guy go complete in the future because of, what we see that all the time. I think the most famous recent example is when Johan Santana threw all those pitches in his no-hitter, and then he was ineffective the rest of the season. This is just one start from Aaron Nola, and it's only a narrative because he struggled in that one start. But what did you make of that comment from Rob Thompson?
It was telling. And I think that comment or that mindset might govern Thompson the rest of the way. We might not see a complete game the rest of the way. It was a very telling comment, I thought.
So, Jim, the Phillies are still a half game ahead of the Padres, but the Padres have won 5 of the last 6. They remain 3.5 games ahead of the Brewers, who are fading a little bit. The Phillies are kind of, it seems, locked into this ceiling of the 5th seed in the National League wildcard picture. But all these teams have relatively simple schedules moving forward. Phillies just still need to take care of their own business to stay in this hunt. Absolutely.
Still control their own destiny, and that's important. And they have for a while controlled their own destiny, and they've managed to stay on that playoff grid. The key to it all for me is win series, and they got away from that in Arizona. I think the key to their rebirth has been win series. So they need to go out and start with San Francisco, and then they have Miami, and then they have Washington. You could look at it and say they got to get greedy against some teams with losing records. I just think you need to kind of stay focused on winning series, and if you can better that's gravy. Because if you win series, you're going to get where you want to go. They've built a healthy lead. I think it's 3 games over Milwaukee. The Brewers are the last team kind of looking in. They're the team you really got to worry about keeping them out, and then you land in the 5th or 6th seed in the playoff spot. But they own a tiebreaker over San Diego. They own a tiebreaker over Milwaukee. Those are great things, but I don't think you want to come down to the final week and be leaning on that. Say, we got the tiebreaker. You want to put some distance between those 2 teams, and Milwaukee's the team you want to really concentrate, keep an eye on, but focus on yourself. But you want to X them out, and they got they got some tough games. They're in Arizona now. Like I mentioned, Arizona is they're spunky, and that offense is pretty tough and pretty entertaining, pretty fun to watch. And I know the Brewers, I think at one point, have the Mets and Yankees back to back. So the Phillies need to take care of their own business and hope none of those teams really put together a string of victories behind them.
Well, the Phils hope this weekend to take advantage of a Giants team that's lost 7 in a row. Kyle Gibson, Noah Syndergaard, and Ranger Suarez pitching for the Phils this weekend. Jim, what's the latest on Nick Castellanos, who's missed the last 3 games with turf toe?
So he did not play, like you said, in Arizona. The best treatment for that turf toe, which is like a little, like he described it as like jamming your finger. And so he jammed his big toe into first base, running down the line. And that caused it. And it's on his right side. That's your push side when you throw. It's your push side when you hit. So it's though it sounds insignificant, it's an injury that can affect you a little bit. So they rested him for 3 days. He's gotten better every day. Feels good, better. And he did some running and agility and throwing on the field before Wednesday's game. I'm sure he took some swings inside underneath. So he could be ready to go as early as Friday night. Rob Thompson thought he'd be back on the field in this series. Exactly when, I don't know. They are not always upfront with timetables like that. They kind of keep that stuff under wraps. I mean, recently we went through it with Schwarber where he had the quad and it was a calf injury, and it looked like, okay, he might be on the field tomorrow, maybe not. He ends up, sitting out the majority of 6 games. So, but it looks like Castellanos is ready to go. A couple more little injury updates. If, like I said, Wheeler's going to throw a bullpen this weekend, final hurdle for him coming back on Tuesday, September 6th. Seranthony Dominguez, also on the IL with triceps tendonitis. He could throw a bullpen this weekend. He's feeling better. He's been, airing it out a little bit. He could get on a bullpen mound, and that could tell us when he might go out and get a rehab inning or two. And Zack Eflin, who has not pitched since June 25th. That was actually the day Bryce Harper went down with that broken thumb. Eflin has not pitched since June 25th. I think I said it was June 25th. So he's got that sore right knee, been treating it a lot. He actually threw a bullpen the other day in Arizona. It looks like it responded pretty good. He's going to throw another one in San Francisco. He could be a bit of an X factor for this team in the bullpen if he can get healthy and get right in September. He would be very eager for that to happen. And, it could be a interesting little development if you get him down in the bullpen and, fresh arm, because it's his knee that's been hurting. Arm is good, but he might be a surprise contributor in that bullpen. That would be a nice lift if he can continue to make progress. So important bullpen session coming up for him here in the next couple of days.
I was going to say, I've never thought about the bullpen version of Zack Eflin because he's such a starting pitcher. But I mean, obviously, we see it all the time where a guy who's a starter goes into the bullpen, goes into like a 1 or 2 inning role. The fastball that might be 94 all of a sudden is 96, 97. There is a little bit of intrigue there. And I wonder if he's able to get back, what kind of role they could use him in if he, does well in that role.
I would use him in a role. It's called get outs. That's what it comes down to, get outs. I don't think they throw him in high leverage right away, but you get him out there. He looks good, and he gets outs. He's going to get a chance to get more outs. And if you get outs in the role they ask you to, eventually you keep getting them. They're going to ask you to get them in more important roles. So it would just be a nice thing to have in the back of your mind that he might be, especially with, Dominguez, you don't know when he's going to be back. It just, I'm not saying he'd be a closer, but there's a guy with experience, and it'd be very intriguing to have him down there to help you get through ball games. So we'll see.
Well, the Phillies, after going 18-11 in the month of August, look to keep it rolling in September. First half of the month, pretty easy schedule. These 3 in San Francisco, followed by a 6-game homestand against the Marlins and Nationals. And the Phillies see those very same Marlins again before going to face the Braves in mid-September down in Atlanta. I don't know if you saw what Spencer Strider did last night, Jim. 16 strikeouts over 8 scoreless innings. I think he put 2 guys on base. So there might be another mini DeGrom in the NL East now, which is just wonderful.
Yeah. What was he, a 5th-round draft pick? Or 4th? The Braves, man, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. He is exciting to watch.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll catch you early next week.